Hello there, everybody watching. I wanted to share a brief life update. And so I've just had a conversation with a person that I realized that my certain and specific mission in this lifetime here is giving live events, and I've been knowing that for the past 9 years. And so, as I was clarifying and having the conversation with him that I only need a few systems to really make that work, which would be a rack system and then a communication system via email and WhatsApp, a little bit of content. I've also reflected today upon the realization that in terms of content, in order of what I put out there, it will be video first. Video first. Because it makes me look the way that I do, and it makes me grow in the way that I want to be growing as the person that becomes a social person, a social character, right? And so, video first, no written posts. I will not need any written posts on LinkedIn either. They do not drive value for me currently. So I'm only going to send connection requests on LinkedIn. That's what I'm going to do every day. And then I'm going to focus on my community and serving my community. Instead of heading to LinkedIn and writing like a post and thinking about how do I do this? No, it's like I will publish videos on YouTube. I will cut them up. I will let my beard grow over the next year. I will cut up these videos and put them also on Instagram. I'm not going to do TikTok. I just won't. And yeah, so it's going to be Instagram, Facebook. I can cross-share that for short-form videos, but YouTube mainly. That is my main channel. I am a YouTuber. That is where eventually my leads are going to come from for live events here in Peru and SEO, of course, so that we can have proper inbound traffic. So these are the systems that I'm going to be employing for the next years, and I've realized that my life's mission truly is to give live seminars, healing work, helping people heal, bringing their energy into balance. And so what does that mean? That means basically that oftentimes we have imbalances in our lives, in our energies. There's mental energy, there's physical energy, there's emotional energy, there's social energy, there's creative energy, there's sexual energy, and maybe some other energies that I haven't yet considered. We can include spiritual energy, the feeling of being connected to something, the feeling of something greater than us, the feeling of the divine, potentially even. So physical energy, we all know what it's like when we are physically charged. We all know what it's like when we are physically exhausted. We all know what it's like when our mind is just exhausted. And I mean, maybe you know, maybe you can remember a moment of that in your life. Maybe you haven't had such an experience, but you certainly know the opposite of that, of what it's like when your mind is spinning, when you're laying in bed, or when you're sitting stuck in traffic, or when you're at home alone, or with a person, whatever, and your mind is spinning, your mind is racing, and you cannot make it stop. That is called an excess of mental energy. And then we also have social energy, the energy of being connected with other people. There are extroverts and there are introverts. And you can find other words for that, but it basically is a spectrum of how much connection, or rather time with people you need, and at what point this is draining to you, and at what point this is energy enriching to you. At what point it is giving you energy, and at what point is it taking from your energy. And there is a certain optimum that differs among people. That's called social energy. For myself, I can say I have a lot of that. And in the last 10 years, that has not been fully optimized. That has led to a lot of depression. And I also see that in a lot of people, as I'm advising, or like as I'm working with, and people tend to seek me out for advice that come from the tech industry and the tech background, for help and emotional support, sparring, talking through their positioning, that the social energy is very important to take into consideration. How much of the social energy do we have? How much of the social energy are we allowing ourselves, are we habitually, with the way that we live our lives, utilizing and bringing into balance? Sexual energy, of course, we all know what it's like when we feel charged or depleted in that way. And that is something that is probably uncomfortable for you to hear. But I do not care, because are you going to argue that this is part of life? And so we should be talking about it. We should be talking about it. Because that is one of those energies, in the same way as you want to know how much time with people do you need. Mental energy. What grounds you? What makes you get out of your head and back into your body, back into the real world? Physical energy. What's good for you? What's giving you energy? What's depleting your energy? That's just called being smart. That's just called knowing how life works. Would you agree? Or would you not agree? And so the same with sexual energy. We want to find a way to utilize that so it doesn't cause harm for us or other people. And so it is a resource. It can be utilized. So as I said, there's also creative energy. The energy of wanting to bring something into this world. Wanting to feel that you have efficacy. That you can create something. That you can bring something into this world. We have a divine creative spark inside of us, in the sense that we have the ability to create things that were first conceived in our mind and then being brought into existence. So we have to find a creative outlet for us. Otherwise, we will not be ultimately fulfilled. And so, as I said, there's physical energy, mental energy, social energy, emotional energy, right? Where we feel the fluctuations of emotions. And all of these go together. Sometimes we feel that we are more emotionally prone towards being we are more prone towards being emotionally affected when some of these other energies are out of balance. So with that, thank you very much for watching.